Hey guys, it's Dan O'Donnell. I made a video yesterday on the beach in Phuket, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the response to it. First of all, that all the comments I got so far in the Facebook groups were constructive, and people had things that they wanted me to talk about, and I don't know, people seemed to basically like the video, and I didn't have to spend hours editing. So I'm happy about that. I'm just going to do these off the cuff, informal like this, and today I'm out on my balcony. I'm still in Phuket. If you see up on the hill right about here, there's a giant Buddha, probably, if I had to guess, 80 feet tall or something. Kind of cool. But you can't see my face if I point the camera that way, so we're going to do it like this. So James asked some questions about my story as becoming location independent or digital nomad, whatever you want to call it. The lessons I learned, kind of how I got there, and what I wish I knew when I started. And personal development resources. So I thought those fit together really well. It's a great topic, so I'll try not to make this too long. My story is I was visiting Thailand for about 10 years before I ever moved to Thailand. And in about 2004 or 5, right in there in that winter, I came over. I loved it. I visited pretty much every year or every time I could. I might have missed a couple years, but I went to Koh Samui a lot, Koh Phangan. Just loved that island life, especially getting away from the gray and cold winters where I'm from, up in Washington State. So, but I always had something keeping me at home, you know, a reason to come back for work, basically. And I had a house and stuff like that, a dog. So I was in real estate. I had clients, and I could get away in the winter when real estate was kind of slow. But then I'd go back and make hay while the sun shines, as they say, as my grandma used to say. But fast forward, I started a flea market. I was still in real estate, so now I have a brick and mortar business and I'm doing real estate. I transitioned to where I was spending almost all my time just running the flea market. But one day in a mastermind meeting, which I would highly recommend, if you don't know what that is, just Google what a mastermind group is. It was just a two-person group. I was talking with my friend Eric, and it became clear that I was in a position to sell my flea market. I had a manager who seemed to want to own it, seemed to not really listen to me anyway. So I thought, you know, he seems to think he's the boss. Maybe I should just sell it to him. And so I committed to my mastermind partner to do that. And within, I don't know, a couple days, I had a deal worked out with him, with my manager. So he bought my business, and I came over to Thailand with some savings, which honestly it was about $15,000. Probably could have lived on that for 2 years in Thailand if I needed to. And at that time I had about probably $200 or $300 a month coming in from online stuff, which was my website, ad revenue from AdSense mainly, and some little sponsorship deals, not much. So I had a pretty big Facebook page at that time. I can't remember how big it was. Right now it's 1.3 million. It's called Positive Thinking. But that page sent traffic to my website, and then I got ad clicks on my website. I modeled it largely off of Plenty of Fish, if you've ever heard of that Canadian dating website. Basically, it's a bunch of user-generated content, and you put ads on it, and you get clicks. So forums fit that description. Any kind of place where people are uploading, you know, videos or whatever, they're making all these new pages for you, and you're getting some ad clicks on those pages. So I came over to Thailand. It was a bit of a leap of faith because I didn't have enough coming in each month to pay my bills in Thailand, but I did have the savings, and I thought if I could just focus my time and get rid of these other obligations, you know, with the business, that I could more quickly increase my online income if I could actually focus on that as my primary deal. So that's exactly what happened. Within a couple of months, you know, I went from $200 or $300 a month coming in to a couple thousand, and you know, shoot, I don't even know if I can remember all the details on that. But basically, I found ways to increase my my ad revenue, some other deals like partnerships, sharing content, found ways to get the traffic up. I have an awesome assistant who's really good with Facebook. She's been doing it for several years for me. And so, you know, focusing and working more with her, just increasing traffic. And yeah, so it went better than I could have expected. I mean, we're talking a few months. I was, you know, 8 or 10 times the income that I had had before. But now my income is actually a little bit lower off of Facebook because they've scaled back their organic reach and stuff. So anyway, that's enough about that. What do I wish I knew when I started? Well, I wish I knew how quick that was going to happen, or I probably would have done it years earlier. But it all worked out, so I'm happy. And there's a massive opportunity right now that didn't exist really when I started, and that's teaching English online if you're a native English speaker. And maybe even if you're not, maybe there are some opportunities, but generally they want native English speakers, and there are tons of students in China and Korea. Those are, I think, the main markets. Some sites will pay you more if you have a degree. There are a lot of sites, I believe, that don't require a degree. They might just not pay quite as much. Some prefer a North American accent, which of course pisses off people from England, since it's, you know, English, but it's kind of funny to me. Anyway, if you are a native English speaker, you can make some pretty good money. I've heard of people with a degree making like $25 an hour, teaching 25-minute lessons with 5-minute, you know, bathroom breaks in between and stuff. Chris the Freelancer did a great video about one particular person who's working with a particular company, and quite detailed about her schedule, you know, how much she gets paid per lesson and things. I would check that out. And if you're interested in the digital nomad thing in general, Chris the Freelancer has a bunch of great videos. That'd be one of my top channels to recommend to you on YouTube. So if that was available, I probably would have done that, instead of focusing on some other things that I tried early in my experience. Because I mean, you can go make $1,500 a month right off the bat, and you can live on half that in Chiang Mai. So, or you could just work less hours, you know, make $700-800 a month, and your bills are covered while you figure out whatever else you want to do. James asked about personal development resources. As far as specific to being a location independent, you know, business person or freelancer or whatever it is that you do, the Tropical MBA is a great podcast, and they go into a lot of people's stories about their journey and how they made it work. And they talk about different locations you can base in, different tools that people use, software, different meetings and get-togethers. They run the Dynamite Circle, which you might want to check that out too. It's a paid group. They meet up all over the world. It's specifically for location independent, you know, business people. I think it's about $100 a quarter, but it could be well worth it, especially if you're moving around a lot and you need, you know, if you want to land and find a community of people each place you go, that could be very valuable for you. So Tropical MBA, Travel Like a Boss podcast. That's Johnny FD's podcast. He's a friend of mine from Chiang Mai, and I don't know how many episodes he has now, but it's a lot. I think he does like 50 a year. And again, it's similar to the Tropical MBA. It's a lot of stories of particular entrepreneurs. So you can learn a lot from that. I would recommend, if you're new and you want to learn, just binge listen to the Tropical MBA podcast and the Travel Like a Boss podcast. And then once you've got some money in a bank, there are Johnny also does the Invest Like a Boss podcast, which I really like, the one about gold and silver in Singapore. That was interesting. Other personal development resources that are more general. Money management is really important if you're trying to be a business person. So Rich Dad, Poor Dad, Cash Flow Quadrant are like the kindergarten for money management. It's really valuable stuff. That's Robert Kiyosaki. Just the mindset of people and how they look at money and how you spend it. For me, having $15,000 in the bank made the leap possible for me. And if I would have just wasted money like a lot of other people I know, I probably never would have had that 15 grand in the bank, and I wouldn't have felt comfortable selling my business and leaving my hometown and just coming over here and to make it work. You know, if I would have had 3 grand in the bank, my runway would have been a lot shorter. You know, the pressure would have been on. I might have made it work anyway, but I might not have made that leap in the first place. So money management is really key if you're going to be a business owner. And that leads into my last topic. This is getting to be a long video. But my last topic is there are, in my view, there are like 3 main types of location-independent workers, digital nomads, whatever you want to call it. And I don't think that one is better than the other, and I think that people are better suited maybe for one category than the others. But it seems like everybody's talking about, you know, having a massive business, being a business owner, jumping right into, you know, like managing people and running a business that might require capital and business skills, where there are people being very successful as remote workers, for example. they take whatever job they're doing and ask their boss if they can do it from somewhere else. Or, you know, the first step might be do it at home for a while and then tell your boss, oh, hey, I'm going to go to Thailand for 2 weeks. Is that cool? And then once he realizes that you're still getting your work done, then maybe all of a sudden you can work remotely indefinitely. You know, maybe you have Skype meetings. A lot of people do that. I've seen a lot of people that work for companies back in the US or over in Europe, and they're doing different kinds of online work from here. So that would be a remote employee, which maybe you can do that tomorrow. The next one, I'm running out of space on my phone, I better make this quick. The next one is freelancers. You can go on sites like Upwork if you have a marketable skill like editing video or audio or Photoshop or copywriting in English. There's so many things you can do. Go check out Upwork if you haven't heard of it. There's also Fiverr. I personally, if I was going to do it, I'd rather go on Upwork than Fiverr. It just seems like less of a headache. And then the third type, of course, is a business owner, which it requires a different skill set. And I don't think everybody has to be a business owner. You know, some people just don't want that headache and don't want that stress. Of course, there are types of business where you're maybe not managing a bunch of people, but I just don't think everybody has to be a business owner to have a good life. So think about if that's really for you, or if you just want to be a freelancer and make, you know, $50 an hour doing something that you're good at, or maybe it's only $10 or $15 an hour teaching English online. But if you live in a place where your overhead is, say, $1,000 a month, that's fine, and you can go to the beach every day or do yoga or whatever you're into. So James, I hope that helps you out. If you have any other follow-up questions, feel free to shoot them to me. I appreciate you, James, giving me the ideas to make a video. So I hope this is helpful to you guys, and I think I'll be doing more of these. So have a good day. Good luck with everything you're up to.